Well, hello and welcome to Meaningful Moments with May, and I am your host, May Caleb. I am super thrilled you've decided to join me on this journey of exploration and growth. In each episode, we'll delve into the ways that we can harmonize our lives with our environment, nurturing our creativity and aligning with our true nature, the true essence of who we are. Together, we'll uncover powerful insights, share transformative stories, and discover practical tools to enhance our everyday experiences. So, whether you're seeking inspiration, personal development, or simply a moment of reflection, you are in the right place, my friends. So grab a cozy seat, open your hearts and minds, and let's embark on this meaningful adventure together. So what if you could shift your perspective and rewrite the narrative of the stories you've been telling yourself? In the last episode of the 6-part podcast series, this is the third part of that series, Breaking Free from Limiting Beliefs, we uncovered the hidden stories and lies we've been living by. Today, we take the next step, learning how to shine the light of awareness on those lies so you can shift your perspective and rewrite those beliefs into a narrative that is actually empowering to you. And I want to start with a powerful thought. Your thoughts are uniquely tied to your own self-image, and you can never outperform your own self-image. So sit with that for a moment. Let that sink in. One of the most powerful questions you can ask when a belief surfaces is this: is this absolutely true? For example, if the belief is I'm not good enough to succeed, is that absolutely true? Or is it just a thought you've repeated so often that it feels like the truth? Here's the secret. The mind believes what it hears the most. So if you can change your story, you can change the belief. I'm not saying you're living in lies. That's not it, but you're recreating. You're doing a reframe. Now, we're in the reframe. So how do we do a reframe? Let's walk through an example. Here's a limiting belief, one that I am personally familiar with. I'm terrible with money. Reframe. I'm managing my money with confidence and ease. But here's the thing. When you reframe from the paradigm, I'm terrible with money, to the I am managing my money with confidence and ease, you're likely to feel uncomfortable at first. I know I did. And I've got a whole backstory behind this that started many years ago because I was never really shown how to utilize money. It wasn't a skill set they taught in school, and I just followed suit with what I saw, right? So when you start to shift the story, when you start to reframe the thought process, you're going to notice these little thoughts in your mind, like, well, but, because you've been telling yourself this story that you're terrible with money your whole life. This is just an example. You could be telling yourself another story like, I suck at relationships. That could be your story. But what makes you think it's you that sucks at relationships? I mean, you might be the center of that experience for you. But I think it needs a little bit more dissection so that we can rewrite the story, right? Because your truth up until now has been the repeat of the lie that you've been telling yourself, which is I am terrible with money, I suck at relationships, I'm not good enough, whatever they are. Whatever the unempowering lie is, you don't even realize that you're empowering this lie with the energy, and that this lie you've been repeating to yourself over and over and over has set the stage for the relationship with money and finances and whatever else you've gotten yourself into. It's what's created more of that scenario for you. So you're saying I'm terrible, and I'm just going to use my example. I'm terrible with money. And then I get shown time and time again how I was terrible with money. And I have to say this. I would pay my bills begrudgingly. This bears repeating because there might be many of you out there that are on the struggle wheel, the hamster wheel of life, where there never seems to be enough finances to cover all the debt you have or all the bills that have been created. And I shared the story at Fresh Start when I was volunteering there doing a workshop that thoughts become things. And I did that for well over a year, several years ago in Phoenix, Arizona. And it's a powerful tool. So I'm going to share it with you right now. Okay. Way back when I was telling myself the story that I was terrible with money, I didn't realize that I was creating more of the terribleness with money energetically. I would pay my bills begrudgingly. I'd kick a can down the road. I would be really angry because I worked so hard for so little. And by the time I'm done paying all my bills, there was nothing left for me. Sound familiar to anybody out there listening? Okay, well, I'm going to share a little secret with you. Shift the energy of that thought as fast as you can possibly do it. And I remember reading a book by Louise L. Hayes, You Can Heal Your Life. And it was a good book, talked about how we held different energetic things in our body and how it shows up in different illnesses in many different ways. But there was a paragraph that I was reading and it stuck with me. And I thought, well, this sounds like nonsense. Like I literally believed it to be nonsense because in the book, and it would keep me up at night. Like I'd read the book. I read the whole book front to cover several times. This one particular paragraph kept sticking out for me. And that paragraph was something along the lines of how we should be blessing everyone and everything when we pay our bills. So, kiss the envelope, she said. And before you mail your bill payment in, kiss the envelope and write on the back of it, may this be blessed and multiplied by all of those who touch it, or something along those lines. That's what I came up with when I decided that I was going to live my life in this little experiment. Now, keep in mind, I lived paycheck to paycheck. There was really not any additional monies for saving. I wouldn't say I was scraping by, but I surely didn't have excesses. I'm just going to put it that way. And so I thought, okay, came bill time. I was going to have to pay my bills this one month. And I thought, I'm going to do this for 6 months. This is going to be an experiment of my life. So since that day, I have been running my life in the full experimental volume. I have been running my life as an experiment ever since because I had such a good result from this. So instead of begrudging, and it felt so inauthentic, it felt goofy. Honestly, I'm just going to be honest. The energy of it was, this is a bunch of hogwash. That was my mindset going into it. Keep that in mind. Your mindset going into it. Because if you're going to live your life in an experiment, open your mind. Okay. We are paying attention to what we're paying attention to. I wasn't aware of that aspect of this whole environment yet, but this was kind of my opening door into the energetics and the way things work. So generally speaking, I was lucky if I had enough money in my checking account at the end of a pay period after paying bills to buy gas for my car to get to work for the next 2 weeks. So I got paid again. And that's just the truth of the matter. That was just the condition that my condition was in, which is why I felt at that time that, why I said the things that I said. And so in living this experiment, I started doing it. The first time I did it, it was inauthentic. It seemed hokey. It was just so far out of my field of awareness and understanding in that moment. But I stuck with it. The second month I did it. The third month I did it. The fourth month I did it. The fifth month I did it. The sixth month I did it. And by the time I got into the 6th month, I was like, okay, because I started looking at my bank account. And I'm going to share this with you because you can suspend the how. You don't have to know the how. Their abundance comes in many forms, one source of abundance, many channels. And At the end of 6 months, this is going to sound silly to some of you, I had like $295 in my savings account, which is not a lot of money. And this is back when, but it was probably the most money I had ever been able to save in my checking account. I didn't do anything different. My job hadn't changed. I hadn't gotten a raise. Nothing shifted in that experience except for me and the outcome. I don't know. I can't even answer to you how this happened, but lo and behold, this is a really good learning lesson here. My refrigerator went out. And the person who started that experiment would have been really irritated and upset that, oh, I finally have all this money and now I got to buy a refrigerator. But instead, I gave thanks. Instead, I said, thank you. I have the money. I could go buy a decent used refrigerator, which I did so that I could have a refrigerator and not live out of a cooler. And I bought a refrigerator. So, but I was grateful. I was just so grateful I had the money to buy it. What if I had been doing all the same things over and having the same results? And honestly, the whole energetics, I cannot explain to you where that extra money came from. To this day, I can't explain it, where it came from. And I have other stories where money has appeared in my little kitty box downstairs in my balancing center that I didn't even know where it came from. Of course, I donated it because I felt like I received this information that this wasn't for me, it was to donate. So I just share this with you because I want you to see how these little hidden behaviors and belief systems and all of that show up to prevent us from moving forward. And that when we learn to rewrite, even if we're just doing it from an experiment, this is just an experiment with your life, right? I just did an experiment and it worked. And from that day forward, I never looked back. I just started growing more and more and more into the awareness of who I have become today. So until you can rewrite the narrative, the relationship you have with whatever that underlying story is, whether it's money and finances, whether it's relationships, whether it's a business, success in the job you have, whatever that underlying frustration is, it will not change. You don't wait till a circumstance changes. You change first. When you change the way you view the world you view will change. It's pretty much that simple. So when you rewrite the narrative to I am managing my money with confidence and ease, which is one that I've used, you signal to the universe and to your subconscious mind that you are ready to shift your narrative with money. So by me putting kissing the back of an envelope and writing, may this be blessed and multiplied by all who touched it. And I would visualize, I'm putting it in the mailbox. The mailman is pulling it out. His life is going to be blessed. He's taking it to the post office, and every postal employee who touches that letter from that or that bill from that point on, their lives were going to be blessed. And then from that moment, when it made it to the company that the bill I was paying for, whoever grabbed the mail, their life was going to be blessed. And whoever opened the mail and deposited the check, you get it. Whoever touched that envelope, that was something that I created. So I shifted my narrative because eventually it felt really good to me to think of all these people being blessed by the bill that I just paid. So if it feels uncomfortable at first, it's okay, because I felt uncomfortable. I'm telling you this from experience, very personal story. A lot of people don't know this story about me, and this is a vulnerable spot for me to be in, to be sharing this here and now. So this is your old replay coming to the surface. So your job in this moment is to sit with the empowering thought and do what you can learn, do what you can to learn about managing money. That's it. Or relationships. There's plenty of books out there on how to step into relationship authentically, honestly, being yourself, and actually becoming a vibrational match for the love of your life, if that's what you choose to do. There are so many resources available to us that we can grow in whatever capacity we choose and decide for. But first you have to decide. I kind of stepped in with one toe in the water and the other one on the grass blades, getting ready to run the other direction because it felt really funny to me in the story I just shared with you. I can't tell you how things shifted, like I said, but I know that it did, and it has been doing it ever since. So how about this limiting belief? I always fail. Again, another lie I've been guilty of telling myself. Here's the reframe. Every step I take teaches me something that helps me to grow in wisdom and gets me closer to my success, or brings me closer to my success, however you wish to word it. Notice that you're not pretending. You're not choosing a perspective that opens, you're not pretending, but you're choosing a perspective that opens possibilities instead of shutting them down. Like me begrudging paying my bills with such constrictive energy. But by that 6th month, and I looked at my checking account and I had $295 or whatever it was. That's some low number. It's a low number for a lot of people. It's a big number to me at the time, right? I became more expansive because I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know how this worked, but it worked. So here's an exercise for you. Take one lie that you've been telling yourself or a belief that you uncovered in the last episode and write it down exactly as it sounds in your head, right? Exactly. I'm not good enough. I don't want to be seen. Who do I think I am? Whatever it is. I suck in relationships. I've heard that from people I've coached right out of that. So I want you to then rewrite the narrative into an empowering statement that feels truthful and expansive. It's a little challenging if this is not something you're used to doing, but say it out loud. Feel the difference in your body when you shift the story. When I stop saying, I never get anywhere. There's never anything for myself. I'm kicking a can down the road to may this bless and multiply everyone who touches my envelope. You could just feel it in the voice. You could hear it in the voice. You could feel it in the body. One is a real contractive way of being, and one is a real expansive way of being. So just say it out loud. Feel the difference in your body when you shift the story. And read it often. Tell yourself this truth often, because the truth about you is that you are way more powerful than you believe yourself to be. So thank you for spending your time with me today. If today's episode gave you something to think about, feel free to share it with someone you care about. And be sure to like and subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss what's coming next, where we're going to go even deeper into the process of reprogramming the mind so that these empowering beliefs become your new automatic default way of being. Until next time, stay curious, stay open, and remember, your beliefs are not set in stone. With every thought, you have the power to choose a new perspective. Bye for now, everyone.